Hello my fellow mindful mamas. Bethany Bradshaw here, waking up the world one mama at a time. I'm here to help you guys live with intent and to improve your parenting skills. So today my entire house is sick, so I'm really grateful for my coffee today. I'm just coming into you to talk about problem solving and how to approach a problem with your kiddo. So I broke it down into simple redirections and then a more complex way of approaching a situation. So we'll first start with a simple redirection, and that's for the day-to-day stuff that you could just switch to a positive action that you want to see instead. So for example, if you see that your child's running inside, a simple redirection would be focusing on positive action that you'd rather see, walking, so you would redirect, can I see your walking feet inside please? So it's really important to redirect for the positive in any situation like that because it reinforces the positive action that you want to see as opposed to the negative action that you are seeing, the running inside. So that goes for like running or yelling inside. Maybe if you talked about sharing a certain toy, you could use a redirection in the moment. Oh, remember to please share with your brother, or something similar to that, something simple. So then we have a more complex way of approaching a problem, and I broke that into 4 steps. So the first step is to acknowledge that there is a problem. So don't beat around the bush or pretend that nothing's going, that nothing's wrong. Acknowledge what's going on, acknowledge what you see in the moment. So if you are witnessing your child having a, what you define as a tantrum maybe, you could look at them and say, I see that you're clenching your fist, or I see that you're crying. How can I help you in this situation? What's going on? So that just shows them that you acknowledge that there is something going on and that you're being present in the moment. When you are going through this step, it's important to integrate feelings in there. It's one way for them to communicate their needs to you and their needs and wants to you. So if they're able to already tell you that when they're feeling mad or sad, maybe add some more complex things in, some terms in there, like I'm feeling frustrated right now, or I'm feeling overwhelmed or confused. Those are some of the other terms that you can add in there to just build on their vocabulary and help them communicate better with you in a problematic time. The second step that I had is to just stop and listen to them, to just be present in the moment and to let them know that you really do care, and no matter how small their problem might seem to you, they're responding pretty big to it, so it's clearly a big problem or something big for them, so it's important to stop and listen. After you've done that, the third step would be to brainstorm solutions with your child. So it's really easy for us parents to think that we're the wise ones and that we know all and that we can fix every situation in the moment. And a lot of the times it's a lot easier to do that, and that's great if you need an immediate fix, or you're not feeling very mindful in the moment. If your cup's really empty and there's nothing else to give, then sure, if you have some input, then great. But it's helpful if the kids are part of it. It gives them those skills to succeed when you're not around, to give them that independence. So if they're able to say, oh, I think that when I'm feeling this way, I could do this to help, or I could talk to this person and this might change the situation. So get them involved and have them come up with a couple solutions. And then the fourth step would be to try the solutions. So I really recommend that you try one of the solutions that your kiddo recommended first, as silly as it may sound. If they're not great at problem solving yet, it might start off a little silly. But yeah, really try to do their solutions first to see how that plays out for them. And then once you guys go through this a couple times, they'll start to make those connections for themselves. And like I said, when you're not around, they'll become a little bit more independent. They'll have those problem solving skills, and they'll be able to approach a problem on their own and say, oh, back when mom helped me with this situation, we did this option and that really worked well, or that didn't really work in my favor, so I'm going to try this instead this time. So it might seem like a lot of work up front, but really in the long run it'll pay off for you and your kiddo. And you can't be there with them forever, so when you do have to you know, bring them to school or bring them to daycare, to Nana's, to Grammy and Grampy's, wherever it may be. They'll, you know, carry along those skills that you've taught them and that you've integrated into their mindset. So that's the 4-step process to a more integrated, that's a 4-step process to a more complex problem, as opposed to the previous simple redirection. And then something else that I was talking to my friends about was their known dysfunctional times or their known struggle times. And so some moms would say that going grocery shopping by themselves was really problematic for them, or that they struggled with morning or bedtime routine, getting their kids off for school in the morning, things like that. So I really wanted to touch upon those times too, to try and you know, smooth out any kinks that you may be experiencing. So something that would be helpful in those times is to just verbally prep your child for what's to come, so to get them prepared mentally to be able to have them play out what's gonna go on throughout the day, be able to play that out in their head. So you want to give them verbal warnings. You can let them know an hour ahead of time. It really is best if you can do an immediate, a more immediate verbal time warning, like in 5 minutes we're going to go to the grocery store, in 2 minutes we're going to get your jacket on and we're going to go out to the car and we're going to go to the grocery store. And so just get them prepared for what's to come. Another really good way, if you have the time, is to write out a social story. And what a social story is a book that you make with your kiddo, and maybe they can illustrate the pictures, but you really try to write your vision of what that troublesome time should look like. So write how you want grocery shopping to look, or write how you want your guys' bedtime routine to look. Put all the details in there. Something that's really important is to put their name in there so that they can identify with it and it resonates with them. Like, oh, in the story, Ari, just like me, was able to go to bed, and she was able to turn on her nightlight when her show was off, and she was able to calm herself and go right back to sleep. She was safe knowing that mom and dad were downstairs. So these are things that you want to write in your social story. So my son's name is Abe. He's only 15 months old, but dinner time is pretty problematic for us when I have to be away from him and he knows that I'm busy. Of course, yeah, mom is what it's all about, right? So, you know, I can create a social story for maybe his older sister and him, and he doesn't, you know, 15 months is maybe not the best example because he doesn't, he's not at that level of thinking yet, but even for his older sister, I could write, oh, you know, so mom's cooking like she does every night, huh? And I can play with my little brother because I know that he cries a lot and it's really sad for him when mom doesn't show him the attention that he needs. He loves it when I run around the house and be silly and make funny faces at him. I get rewarded with hugs and kisses from mom after dinner. And, you know, something like that, something simple that integrates their name, adds the details in there. So, you know, if grocery shopping is a hard time for you in the candy aisle, you know, so-and-so went by the candy aisle and they were able to pick out one piece of candy if that's your boundary. Or they were able to pass the candy aisle and felt self-control knowing that they were going to pick a healthy snack that gave them energy throughout the day. So the social story is just a play-by-play, a story, a live, you know, story of your life with your kiddos involved in it to just get them prepared for what's to come. And you can read this a few times before that problematic time occurs, or this can become part of your bedtime routine. But yeah, social stories are definitely helpful in problematic times to just reset the vision that you want for that experience. Something else, another quote that I wanted to add that I first heard from my cousins, my twin cousins, Casey and Kylie Thibodeau Harvey. They're amazing entrepreneurs. They are goal achievers and they help other people meet their health goals. They do live Twinspirations every day, and I'm really grateful for them to have them in my life. And so what I heard from them that really resonated with me was, what do you have to believe to be true in order to be having this negative experience? So this ties into the law of attraction that I'll talk about in some of my later videos, but it basically talks about how your beliefs frame your actions, really. So, you know, if you believe to be true that your significant other isn't stepping it up or isn't playing their part, then you might respond to your kids by being overwhelmed or overreacting, I may say, and just acting maybe a little more childish than you normally would to just show them that, hey, I'm struggling here. I need some help. So you may believe that to be true, or you may believe to be true that your child is maybe they're overreacting in themselves. So you think, oh, she shouldn't be freaking out because her sleeve doesn't go all the way to the end of her arm when you put it into her coat. You may think she's overreacting. Well, that's a sensory thing for a lot of kiddos, and for them it's a big issue. Like I talked about in the beginning of the video, it's important to show that you are acknowledging their feelings and that you do care and that you are present in the moment. So yeah, just think about what you believe to be true in those moments of struggle for you, and that correlates to how you'll respond to any situation. So I'm going to use that quote as my call of action for you guys. When you're in a problematic time with your kiddo lately, to just stop and think really quick, what do I have to believe to be true in order to be having this negative experience with my kiddo? So those are the couple of tips that I have for you today about problem solving. And if you have any other questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. Subscribe if this video provided value for you. And thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time.